Hello, this is Diane Zalesky. I'm going to talk a little bit about the professional development that I did related to the annotated agenda that was sent in. A little bit of background information is it's a district with few English language learners at this point. Thus far they have been assessed and identified, but there really are no programs in place and teachers haven't been trained to work with English language learners or really know anything about the resources that are available to them. So I was asked to come in and really kind of start from scratch, talking about the English language proficiency standards and the English language development standards and some other things that are available to teachers who are working with English language learners. So it was exciting to be somewhere where everybody wanted to know everything. I mean, it was kind of like a KWL with no K or very little K, and a lot that people wanted to learn and walk away with. So, and it was important that they were able to walk away with something that they could do pretty immediately. So to address the questions or the prompts that were provided, let me just go through them. Okay, so what went well in this presentation or in this workshop? I think actually everything went well. I think it was, it was focused on what the site host had requested. And I always present the goals and objectives of the workshop to the participants and see how it matches their needs and if there's anything else that we need to add or address maybe later on or in a different way. So I think it went pretty well in that it covered a lot of information and something that they felt that they had some background knowledge that they had not had previously. How would I replicate it? Would I replicate it? Yes, and actually I think I'm going to have an opportunity to replicate it in the same district with a new group of teachers, the same presentation, so that there's a little bit of a similar knowledge base among the teachers in the district. And I think it will also have an opportunity to work with the teachers that were in the previous workshop, expanding upon their knowledge now and taking a look at, now that we've come this far, where do we need to go? What are some strategies? How do we implement this information now actually in the classroom that will benefit English language learners? Prompting the participants before engaging in the activity. It didn't take much prompting. I think pretty much up front we talk about that there's going to be a little bit of theory, a little bit of background information that's presented, and then that information is going to be applied, and we're going to talk about how it can be used to make sense for the participants so that we can personalize it somewhat. Not necessarily to each individual situation, but at least as much, so much in that they can walk away with something useful. So it doesn't take much to prompt. It's pretty much ends. Sometimes I'll put it in the PowerPoint slides. Actually, I'll just put up a slide. This is activity. Give a brief description of it. So that they can focus on it even if they're working in groups and they need to look at the directions for the activity or something. Again, it's up there on a slide. For the debriefs, I tried to do some different types of collaborative structures. Round table, round robin, stand and share. I think those were fun, and they also were, something that they can take and use with their English language learners, and understanding the rationale for doing those kinds of activities. For support and scaffolding. To help me prepare for the presentation, I certainly, of course, looked at what was provided through Rita on the consultant's website and the PowerPoints, and then also looked at some of the things that I had used in the past to help support and supplement some of the information, which you will see on the annotated agenda. So when we looked at academic language and we look at task difficulty, I did use Cummins Quadrant just to kind of, bring up demanding and undemanding and cognitively challenging and not so challenging scenarios for students, and to help participants see how what they do in their classroom might fit into some of these different types of tasks. Let's see. And determining what was essential, again, was pretty much determined by the site host. You know, we talked about what is it that they know, what is it that you'd like them to leave the workshop having learned. And so that was how I figured what was essential. And pretty much when you're starting from the basics, you want to look at you know, everything that supports what they're going to do to implement the lessons. I think, in my opinion, I think it's very difficult to start out with strategies, although I think that's what people want. It's give me some strategies to work with English language learners and what can I do in the classroom, and that's fine. But unless we understand the rationale behind those strategies or the differences in the needs of our students based on their stages of language development, I think that sometimes it's putting, you know, just kind of a little Band-Aid over a larger sore that we need to take a look at, if you will. So, yeah, and all right, so what were my facilitation opportunities? My facilitation opportunities are many because there was so much interaction between and among the participants that I get a chance to sit with small groups, and depending on the size of the groups, sometimes they're very small, sometimes a little bit larger, but really to give them feedback and provide some input as to some of the tasks that they're working on. And it gives them an opportunity to ask some questions that are personalized to them that not everybody in the group needs to hear or deal with. If there is something that would benefit the whole group knowing, then I could say, you know, do you mind if we share this with the whole group, or would you like to mention this or get some feedback from others? So I like that opportunity to really sit and take a look at what they're doing and provide some specific input, especially if they're lesson planning or if they're, you know, creating or transforming model performance indicators, creating a strand, something like that. So those are great opportunities to facilitate learning. I would probably re-envision parts of the workshop as to, there was a lot. There's a lot of information in one sitting. Even though it's a full day, it's a lot of information to process. I also would recommend that even though I know we want to cut back on hard copy, paper copies, and they can certainly do a lot by looking online at what's available on the WIDA website, which we do. We negotiate that site. Just so that they're familiar to how to find things when someone isn't standing right in front of them and working with them. So I think what I would do is maybe shorten up some of the activities, cut back a little bit on the information in the hopes that that maybe I would be able to come back and pick up from there, which is really what we had talked about anyway when we set up the first workshop, was that there would possibly be more. So that's about the only thing that I think I would re-envision. And again, working with the group again, the next steps would be, okay, let's see how far we've come. What have you done since we met the last time? And let's take a look at what some of your needs are now, which I think are pretty much going to be. Now we can look at some strategies based on knowing who our students are, where they are, and how we're going to get them to move forward by what we do. Because again, strategies are, we have to know the purpose and the audience and what are the outcomes that we expect. So I think that's where that's going to go. And that's about it. Thanks. Bye.